Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Doing good, thank you. What about yourself?
I'm good as well. What's your name, please?
You can call me Oz. I'm from the U.S. What about you?
It's nice to meet you. I'm Richard. I'm from Brazil.
Okay, cool. What part of Brazil are you from?
I'm from São Paulo,
São Paulo.
in the
Okay.
state of São Paulo. Yeah, in a city called Guarujá.
Oh, okay. Is it a big city or a
Yeah,
small city?
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a pretty big city,
Oh,
and it has lots of people, as well as a great weather and lots of beaches, and it's really cool.
oh, so it's located near the coast.
Yeah, it's located near the coast. Exactly, it's on the
Oh,
coast of São Paulo.
oh, that's nice.
That's cool.
Okay.
And you are from LA,
Yes, exactly.
aren't you?
But now I live in
That's cool.
in Indonesia.
Indonesia.
Oh,
That's cool. In your profile, you were riding a motorcycle, weren't you?
yeah, yeah. Sometimes I don't know if people look at the profile, but sometimes yeah, I get a lot of people saying that they see my profile, or they see the video at least.
Yeah, I do.
So it's it's interesting. Maybe I should update it or something later on.
That's great. I've read an
Uh,
article, and I was reading the news, and I read an article. It said, for example, the motorcycles are used a lot in Thailand, right?
yeah, they're used all over Asia. In Indonesia, a lot of people use motorcycles, and also in Thailand and Vietnam, a lot of
Yeah,
places. Yeah,
Indonesia.
exactly. And
That's cool.
it's cool because you can go around traffic. You can just the drivers go into the sidewalk or they go the wrong way, so it gives you a lot more freedom.
Yeah, that's cool. I have a question for you. For example, I said you were riding a
Hmm.
motorcycle. For example, the verb to ride we use for example, motorcycle, bicycle, horses, and things like
Hmm.
that, right? And what about when you, I think, to give a ride when you want to transport someone, for example?
Um,
Can you take? I know that taking me for a ride is to go with a person, right, in a vehicle. That's right.
yeah, I think,
So give me a ride. If you can, you give me a ride. So what?
yeah, I think for that one is you can use can you give me a ride, or you can also say can you take me. Similar to like saying a car, can you take me in the car, or can you take me with your motorcycle? It's very similar
I see.
in terms of spoken English. In terms of grammatically correct, I think the more grammatically correct would be give me a ride on your motorcycle, like that. But in terms
That's cool. Like,
in spoken English, you can say both. It's pretty natural to say, "Oh, take me on your motorcycle," or give me a ride like that.
oh, thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
And do you speak another language
Yes,
apart from
I can
English?
speak Spanish and very little Indonesian. But yeah, mostly just English and Spanish.
That's cool. What about Indonesian? Do you feel is it a hard language to learn?
Oh, actually, it's actually quite easy to learn. But as you can attest, about learning a language is has a lot to do with motivation.
Yeah,
And
exactly. I totally agree with you.
you know, um, I work a lot, so I don't always have the drive or motivation to learn. And to be honest, I live in the capital, and here you can kind of survive without knowing too much Indonesian. So it's
I
kind of like a
see.
luxury, and maybe it's not the right thing to do, but eh, eh.
I see. Yeah, I totally agree with you. When it comes to be motivated, because I feel that I have been motivated in English because I really like it.
Mhm.
So I don't feel that I have been studying it. I feel that like I have been having fun. When we have a conversation like this, and I can learn from where you are, from the places around the world. So it's really cool. And I think that to learn a new language, especially English, it's an instrument. It's a tool that communicates people. So it's so inspiring. I'm so inspired by that, and that's my motivation. That's why I love studying English and asking you questions like I did. It's really awesome.
Oh, that's good. That's good. It sounds like you've been learning for a while, right?
Yeah, here in Cambly, I have a lot of time here in Cambly.
Yeah.
You can see it in your screen, right?
Yeah, you have 12,000 minutes. That's insane.
12,000 12,000 minutes. Yeah, it's been about almost 2 years here in Cambly, and I try to study at least 15 minutes a day.
Wow.
Because I think consistency is the key to learn a new language, and
I agree.
I love it. So that's cool.
I agree. I have about almost similar, like 13,000 minutes. But I'm a teacher, that's the difference. So I talk all the time. But wow, that's a long time. It's a long time.
Yeah, it's an investment. I don't feel like I have been spending money on Cambly. I have been investing money in myself. So that's cool. That's cool.
So what do you do for work in Brazil?
I work in logistics.
Okay.
But I graduated from college last year. I'm now an electrical engineer, and it's pretty great, to know English, because my field of working, it needs English a lot to be able to communicate with clients, to offer new products and be able to expose our advantages of our company, of our products. So English is a great tool, and it's so necessary. And I think without English, I don't know, I wouldn't be able to do a lot of things that I have done recently, such as communicating with a lot of people and expressing myself and being able to as well expand my vocabulary in Portuguese, and even in my first language. It's so great to learn a new language because we can expand both our next language and our own language, because I have to learn new words. And you guys, native speakers, from the United States, you guys tend to use certain words that I'm not used to. But when I look the words, on the internet, I feel like, I can actually use that word in my context in Portuguese. But I have not been using them, and that's cool.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, so even like your accent is sounds like you've been speaking so much that there's still like a hint of like, because after talking to people from certain, like, let's say I talk to Brazilians, or I talk to Saudis, or I talk to, everyone has a similar accent from like the country they're from. But you could still hear a hint of like the Brazilian, but it's like, I think you have spoken English for so long that your fluency has increased to a point where it's like near native level accent. You know what I mean?
Oh, thank you. I know what you mean. Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that because I've been working on my American accent too.
Not to say that it's a bad thing to have a Brazilian accent or anything. It's just saying that you just sound. You sound like American accent, basically.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I don't care about accents. I think when we work on certain things a lot, I think we got too used to speaking it, right?
Exactly.
And that's interesting. That's good. And I love watching TV shows, movies in English from the United States. So I think that's the reason.
Yeah, I think if you spend a lot of time in a certain area, you develop the accents. I was living in Los Angeles, and the way people speak there is completely different. And I moved to a college town, Northern California, and in this area, it was a small town, maybe like 10,000 people, but it's not as diverse as Los Angeles. It's a lot of like white people and maybe a couple minorities, but the way my speech adapted to that time, it switched. So when I went back to Los Angeles, people told me like, you sound like a white boy now, and I was kind of like, because I spent 4 years there or 5 years there. Then I came back to Los Angeles, and my accent readapted, and then I came to Indonesia, and now I find myself saying some things that Indonesians say when they speak English. Kind of adapted to their accents. So yeah, I think accent is very flexible and adaptable. Depending on where you're living.
Yeah, and that's cool. A cousin of mine, she moved to the southern area of Brazil, and she went to a place called Florianopolis.
Oh yes, I heard of this.
And yeah, and when she came back to São Paulo, her accent was completely different, and I was so impressed by that. And I said, "Oh, it happens in English as well."
Hey, exactly. So I think it's always very funny when I hear like you see people who you don't expect to sound a certain way, and like for example, there'll be like I saw this video of like this very like Mexican looking woman, but she was raised in the southern U.S., so she has a very like southern accent, like howdy y'all, like that. And when she started speaking, I was like, what the hell? Which is like, it was kind of like odd, but that's because we're exposed to only a certain amount of perspective of what you imagine certain people to be like. I guess,
Yeah.
and especially in like U.S. television, the majority is like white people, so they have a variety. They have a variety of like New York accents, Chicago, Los Angeles. But like let's say like black people or Latinos or Asians, they have a limited perspective role. So you're only shown like a limited amount. So when something else happens like that, you're kind of shocked, like, whoa, I had no idea that people sounded like this in other places. So I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, we get so impressed by that. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So how is your city during this corona epidemic?
Oh man, it's hard, because we were about to be out of the lockdown, but unfortunately the cases here in my city increased a lot, and it unfortunately the government decided to lock down again, and only essential places can be opened, and unfortunately we have to stay at home, and just go outside to buy groceries or go to the drugstore, only essential things. And yes, it's hard. It's really hard to stay at home, for such a long time. But we have to understand that we need to help the world to heal, and this disease it's not easy, so they don't understand how it works, and unfortunately I think it would take a couple of months or years to for them to figure it out,
To figure out the vaccine, right? And
Yeah.
I think it's tough because eventually I think most countries are just going to have to go move forward to a new normal, quote unquote new normal, where they just have to go back to work and maybe just have protocols of like try to be safe. But yeah, until the vaccine comes out, there's gonna be times where the virus makes a comeback and then it goes away and then another comeback, because people need to go back to work eventually. There's a lot of people who depend on a daily basis of like making money.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's a tough one.
So yeah, we have to try to balance, to be able to stay safe as well as being able to go to work.
Exactly.
Right? So yeah, it's so complicated. But God willing, everything will be great.
I agree.
Oh my gosh, we are running out of time. Thanks so much. It was nice
All right,
talking
no
to you. It was so productive.
Thank you so much. Have a good one, okay?
I liked you too. Take care,
Bye-bye.
okay? Bye.